Okay, so here is my third video, and I'm going to start with how to use the LeapMobile app. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to, your app store, whether it be on an iPhone or Android or whatever you use. You're just going to search Leap or Leap Legal. You're going to find the app and download it. Once you open it, it's going to ask you to sign in. It's the same login credentials you already had. Hit sign in, and we're going to be within the Leap app. So this is just kind of like Leap Ultralight. It's the things that you would need to do if you're on the go. So for example, you're not going to be doing your trust accounting and your trust bank reconciliations from your phone. You can't create invoices from your phone, but you can see them from your phone. So there's a lot of functionality, but it's the things that you would normally do. You'll also see here that any tasks that you've created are going to be in here. I'm not sure why it's saying December 31st, 1969. I probably just set that accidentally when I was showing the range to somebody. Well, you can either search for matters, or you can go directly to the functionality like voice dictation, time entries, scanning, etc. I find it's easiest if you just go to your matter first to start. I'm not going to give it a rating today. You can see all of your matters here. You can also create a new matter from the screen if you want to, which I'm not going to do today. I'm just going to find the same matter that we were already working on. You can see here the status. You can see the purchaser, the vendor's lawyer, all these same details from the details tab. The correspondence tab is just its own separate tab because obviously a phone does not have the same width as your computer screen. But you can see all your folders and documents from here. You can also hit the plus sign to send a new email, add a new comment, take a voice memo, send a text message to your client, create a folder. One thing that's really cool that you have on your phone is the option to upload something for a photo or a document from your phone's image gallery, or you can scan a document. I don't have any cool documents handy, so I'm just going to use my floor. But let's just say we had, like a contract or something, and instead of going all the way to the photocopier, or you're on the go, or maybe it's like an ID or something, you just want to take a picture and upload it straight to Leap. So scan document, and then you can choose whether it's a single page document or a multi-page document. So if it's a single thing, like just one page of a passport or something, you would just do single page. Otherwise you can do batch. So let's say here's page 1, taking a picture, page 2, page 3, page 4, you flip the pages in between. Once you're all done, you hit done. You can delete any that you don't want, or you can add more pages. You can rename this to whatever you want to call it, and then hit save. And now this is going to save as a PDF to the matter. Obviously not a very exciting document in this case, but it's a really, really, really handy tool I like to tell people about. You've also, at the top right here, where there's a little stopwatch, you can track your time. You can see your calendar and tasks, your scheduled and your unscheduled, as well as any tasks that you might have. You can also see the financial summary, time and fees. We haven't really gone through this yet, so there's not a ton to kind of refresh on, but you can create time and fee entries from here. You can record disbursements from here. So say you're on the go and you have to, you want to track your parking that you're billing to the client because you're driving out to meet them or something. You can do that from here. You can see any of your general account details like invoices, payments, etc. Your trust details. So there's a lot that you can do from here. The other thing that you can do is you can tap on a card and see all the client's details as usual. If you have their phone number or their email address in the card, it will show up here. I didn't enter that in, so there's only the address pin, but it's handy because it opens with Google Maps and you can get directions straight to your client's location. Or maybe you have like the court location or whatever it might be. You can get directions straight there, which is nice. Let's see if Donald Duck. Yeah, see Donald Duck? Got the phone number. I can text him. I can email him, or I can send him a message. So just text straight from here to 0000000. Just use my number. I don't know if I can text myself from my phone though. But you get the idea. You can, if it wasn't to myself, it doesn't seem to let me. but that's how you would do it. And you can also call directly from here by tapping the phone button. So that is cards. You can also see all your cards in one place or add a new card. Like if you make a new contact and you want to add them in, you can do that from here. And there's a couple settings, like if you want to turn on biometric sign-in or multi-factor authentication, or also, hide your caller ID if you're calling people and you don't want your caller ID to show up, and so they can't call you back from your cell phone. If you don't want your clients to have your cell number, you can hide that as well. So that's the Leap app. It's pretty straightforward, easy to use, just like Leap, but more like minimalistic. Next thing I'm going to show you are the settings pretty quickly. Move my recording bar over again. So actually I'll show you the other here. You can see a list of all the civil and family and land service fees just as a handy reference in Leap, which is nice. You can also bulk import folders. Like if you have a bunch of matters with a bunch of information, you can import them all at once. And if you search the Leap knowledge database, there's more instructions on that. There's a little quick calculator for calculating the number of dates, or number, like a future date, like 90 days in advance or whatever it might be. You can also see your call logs here. So there's a couple things, but I'm going to go into settings. There are 3 sections of settings. Firm details, unless you like move or change your phone number, there's not really too much that you'll ever need to change in this one, but I'll just show you what it looks like. Firm details, street address, correspondence preferences. Usually people don't need to change these. Bank details, again, you normally wouldn't need to change them, but they're there. Most of the settings are found under application settings. So you've got a few categories: home, firm, matters, documents, cards, accounting, integrations, task lists. And you can also see these settings here as a card, or you can also search the settings. If you don't want to just keep going digging and you can't find what you're looking for, you can also search the settings. Under firm, you can see different branches. Firm details, this is not the same firm details we just looked at. Do not touch this. What it does is it overwrites the pretty Word invoice settings, and it like forces you into this really ugly PDF invoice, which some firms like, but it doesn't give you a lot of customization options. So I would just ignore this. You don't need to upload your logo here. Your logo is already in your invoice precedent from when we set it up, as long as you gave it to us. If you want to set up like targets in Leap, you would do it under budgeting just by selecting staff member, and editing what, how many billable hours per day, or, fees collected per day, or whatever else you might want to set up. You can do that here. You can also update your staff members here. I'm not sure why this is taking a while to load. But you can turn it on and off whether they have Leap access. So if an employee leaves, turn it off. You can also revoke access through here. If you click on it, you can put in their kind of personal details. You can update their password here. You can update their rates here, their access and permissions, whether they're admin or standard access. You can restrict mobile access if you don't want them to have the app, if you only want them to be able to like access Leap from the office. Additional details, you can upload their signature here. Device management, where they're logged in. You can also turn on like their notification preferences and whether or not they have a Leap license assigned to them, or add staff members or whatever else it might be. Matters, this is where you will update your matter numbering. So if you want matter numbering to be automatic, check this, and then what you want, what the last number is. So the next one will start at, in this case, 208, and what components you want. So we chose year dash matter number padded to 3 characters. But you can also add things like a person reference, like their initials, a year with 2 digits instead of 4, things like that. If you want to update document numbering, you can. Most people just ignore document numbering. Card numbering, if you want it turned on so your cards have numbers rather than just their name, you can turn that on. And then accounting, this is where most of the settings in Leap are accounting settings. So tax basis and platform are already set. You can set your lock period date so you can't accidentally go and change things from the past. Your financial year start date. So I've set, we set up your QuickBooks at the beginning. Typically, as long as you have entered things, we like to turn on the auto export during our follow-up training. But sometimes you're not ready yet, and so we don't do that. But what this does is every time you create financial transactions that would back up to QuickBooks, it automatically syncs to QuickBooks instead of having to export manually. The reason we don't turn this on to begin with is we always just like to test it once manually, make sure everything's successful, and then update it. You can also turn on your estimate warnings, your time recording units, things like that here. Your reporting usually doesn't change, usually just 30, 60, 90 days. Payment types, if you take payment types that are different from usual ones, you can add them here. You can also update them. For example, checks, you can update your clearance days to however many days that your checks take to clear. You can do that there. What needs banking means is that you instead of just recording that you received it, you actually record the deposit separately. Otherwise, it just goes straight to your account without recording a deposit. So you can turn that on and off. Auto completion text you can set up. Transaction numbering, like when you have a new firm, or when you're new in Leap but you have a firm in existing, what's your last invoice number? There's usually a big one, your last GL journal number, anything like that you can update here. Billing categories, reporting groups, if you use those, you can set those here. Your general ledger account codes. So this is set up for 0. In QuickBooks, we use names, and you'll notice your chart of accounts is set up with these names. If you change either these fields or your chart of account names in QuickBooks, but you only change it one spot, you will break your QuickBooks Leap integration, because the way that QuickBooks knows where to put all the information it sent is based on these names. So typically we just copy and paste these names as the chart of accounts in QuickBooks. So don't change either this or your QuickBooks chart of account names unless you're changing both. Tax codes are here, and your defaults are set up. You shouldn't need to change that. Invoice settings. I have a whole separate video that I've previously recorded on updating your invoice settings and your layout, like what sections you have and what columns you have in your invoice. This is kind of covered lightly in your bookkeeping training. But I have a whole separate video that goes into a lot of detail on this if you want multiple different invoice layouts that show. Some people have a plain view and a detailed view, and sometimes a detailed plus view. Sometimes people just have the same invoice layout for all their matters, but it is customizable. Your time and fee activity codes you can set here. Your disbursement codes you can set here, or change and update. Like if you want default tax codes on them, for example, you can do that. And then here is where you will have your general accounts information and your trust accounts information. You'll see any integrations, like your online payments for FeeWise. If you're using FeeWise, it actually opens in a window. That's right here. So you can see and manage that. That's its own separate training. Usually it's in the bookkeeping training. Your email accounts you can see here. So, and then if you have task list templates, you can also see them here. So those are settings. And the very last thing that I will show you today, if I can move my recording bar, there we go, are reports. So I've favorited some reports I like to see a lot. And honestly, the best way to get familiar with these reports is just to kind of play around in them. So I'm just going to show you them at a high level though. So you have 4 kind of categories. One is matters and clients. So you can see your real estate reports. You can see matters due for closing, current real estate matters. You can see reports on your clients and cards. You can see completed matters, your matter list. Work obtained by refer. That's the one that I mentioned. I'll just show you this as an example of how to set up a report. Usually come to a blank screen. You set your kind of date range that you want. And then you can choose whether you want it minimized or expanded. Once you run it, you have the option to expand it anyway individually. So here we go, mortgage broker. This is one we just created, and we can see for Rosie Goodman from First National Finance. We recorded $39 so far. But if we were to, go all the way back to, let's say, June, we can see, okay, so court's sending us about $5,000. This doctor clinic is sending us $87,000 worth of fees. Well, that's nice. And $60,000 that's actually paid. So who at the doctor clinic is sending us so much money? Okay, it's Bradford Rathborne LLP. I'm not sure if that's a doctor's clinic. It's probably just someone just choosing a random card, because this is a fake database. But you get the idea. You can see where your work's coming from, right? Like how much money is being referred, which is nice. You can also see your matter tasks, critical dates, and appointments as reports. But the ones that you're going to use a lot are the trust reports and the general accounting reports. So you can see your aged work in progress, your invoice reports. You can see online payments, matter balances. You can reprint deposit slips. Combine matter ledger with balances is also a pretty popular one. You've got all your trust reports here. One thing I'll show you really quickly, if we search LEAP Ontario Law Society, see, I pull this one up a lot, is LEAP actually has a help page that shows all of the Law Society of Ontario reporting requirements, what their requirements are, and how to find that in a LEAP. So for example, LEAP receipt trust, or the trust receipt journal, in a LEAP, it's called the Trust Accounts Receipt Cash Book Report. The client's trust ledger, what it needs is actually just called the Trust Ledger Report. So this is like a really handy reference to make sure you're getting all of your correct reports. So that's the third video. I think pretty much everything else is just covered in the bookkeeping and precedent training. But if you have any specific questions, of course, feel free to reach out and ask.